Good evening, everyone. This is probably the only time you'll ever see me in remotely warm weather. Um, I've got a camera so I can show you the sort of view that I've got from this lovely little apartment in Tenerife. We're in the south because the north is too warm. And the good thing is I don't need my phone for the chat because I've got it up here. So that's very helpful. I'm streaming from our sort of home computer that we brought here. I might record some videos on it. I'm not sure though. Got my microphone. I've taken it off its stand because it's a bit easier, a bit more flexible. So yeah, I'm gonna go and show you sort of show you the, the view in a way. So this is the view that we have from the apartment. Very nice. Um, So yeah, and yeah, we're just sort of chilling, running on vibes here. So I'm just so oh, there we go. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. So yeah, my brother shouldn't interrupt too much. Spain's too hot. Eh, I mean, it is warm. It's actually not Spain. Well, it's Spanish territory, but it's actually pretty much Africa, if that makes sense, because Tenerife is sort of, I don't know what country it's near to the east, but it's more near Africa than it is Spain. Um, it's a lovely, lovely place. We go here every year because my grandparents have a timeshare. They were meant to come with us, but unfortunately, my granny broke her hip, so they couldn't come. So it's just us four: my mum, my dad, myself, and my brother. Got my Cosworth t-shirt on. Still fits me, thankfully. And yeah, we just got here. What happened was basically I'll put this back on the stand because I'd rather just explain it like that. Sec. Yeah. So basically, what happened was the most closest is Morocco. Ah, right. I'm gonna go and Google that actually. Let me have a look. I've I suppose it's. So I'm gonna go on maps. Uh, so yeah. What happened was we basically got up at like, well, I got up at 2:30. So what happened was I went to bed at 9:30 p.m. and I got up at 2:30 because our flight was at 6:50. And you need to be there basically 2 hours beforehand when you're carrying big luggage like we are. So we had to be there by about 5 o'clock. And we were there by 5 o'clock comfortably. We left the house at about 3, like quarter past 3, something along those lines. It's actually getting quite windy, so I'm gonna have to hold this. Oh, hi, Sean. I had a feeling it was you, but I wasn't entirely sure. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to keep this afloat because it's quite difficult because of how warm, because how windy it is. Also, it's very warm. So yeah, like I was saying, we basically got up at 2:30. I got up at 2:30. My brother got up at about 3 o'clock. I had breakfast. I was able to have breakfast. Had the rest of the milk that was left. And then we jumped in the car, and we live near Perth, which is sort of in the middle of Scotland, between the north and the south. South being the borders, north being Inverness and Aberdeen and places like that. We're a little bit further south than Aberdeen and Dundee, so we live near Perth. So it took us about 40 minutes to get to the airport because it was Edinburgh Airport we were flying from. Got there about quarter to 4, something along those lines. No, I tell you what, it was 10 to 4. I think it was. We got there. So then we got a bus to the airport because we stopped in the car park in parking, and then we sprinted over to the nearest bus stop, got the bus, just about made it, and then we got the bus to the airport. Then we got into the airport. We walked along to our sort of bit, went through it, and because we were flying with Ryanair, so it was the Ryanair landing zone that we went through, and then we walked to, we put our luggage in the sort of conveyor belt that they have, and then we walked to a restaurant. I forgot the name of it. I didn't have any food because I wasn't hungry, but I did have an early morning Pepsi, I think it was, and that had my brother had an Iron Brew. So yeah, then we just sat there for a wee bit, waited for our gate to be announced. I'm never going back to Spain again. I would prefer Serbia than Spain. I see zero arguments starting out of this. I mean, Serbia was a war zone about 20 years ago, but it's probably a decent place. Um, then again, every place has probably been a war zone at some sort of time in history. Hello to the 3 people that are watching. Just explaining how I got here in the first place. So yeah, as I got to the part about the restaurants, we were waiting for our gate to be announced, and our gate was 28. And then we started walking, and I don't know if you guys know this, but like you probably do because I posted a video with her on my channel. But I have a girlfriend, and she was flying 10 minutes after I was from the same airport. So I was waiting to find out what terminal she was in, what her number was, and it was 22 or 23. I think it was 22. So she was about a 1 or 2 minute walk from where my terminal was. And hi Kai. And what happened was we basically waited for Amelia and her mom together because they're going to Poland, and said hi to her. Said a final goodbye. And then we went to our terminal, got into the airplane pretty quickly, took off at about 7:15, got there pretty much bang on 12 o'clock, and then took us about 45 minutes to get through, get our luggage, go to the toilet, get changed, because before that we were in like trousers and stuff like that because we were in Scotland, and then we moved into shorts because it's Tenerife. And then after that, we got a taxi ride. Guy went the wrong way and then realised the mistake he made. We had to pay a little bit extra. I think it might have been on purpose, but anyway, keep that to yourself. And then we got here, settled down, and then the porter took forever to get our cases up. But to be fair, can be quite a busy place. We go here every year, same place pretty much. And then it's about 3:30. No, it wasn't 3:30. It was like 3 o'clock, and we decided to go and get some food. And if you saw my Instagram story, I ate an 18-inch pizza. Nice, massive pizza. Ate nearly every single morsel of it, barring a couple of crumbs, couple of crusts, because I was too full. Ended up lying on the bathroom floor for about 20, 30, 40 minutes, trying to let it settle down when we got back. And yeah, we've just sort of been here chilling. And it only took me about 7 minutes to explain how I ended up here. So yeah, plans for tomorrow, we're going to go golfing, and then there's water polo one in the pool. I really enjoy water polo, one of my favorite sports to play. Yeah, I'm just going to try and enjoy the 17 days I have here because, to be honest, eventually you're going to have to get back to school and get back to work, and it's very depressing. I'm doing my hires this year, so that'll be quite difficult. I'm currently also in the middle of working on a video about Jim Clark, but I'm not going to get that done before the holidays end. So, I mean, my idea is I'm going to make an edited version of it and an unedited version of it. Obviously, the unedited version will come out first because that's the one that can get done the quickest. Because all I need to do is just splice some clips together, etc. And I think this is probably going to be my best video yet. The way I presented it was very good compared to my other videos. I don't sound as boring. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do in relation to the Grand Prix this weekend because I can't watch it because of Brexit. Yeah, Brexit's kind of been a looming thing in this entire trip. So basically, we can't really use much mobile data because of Brexit, which means that because Spain's in the European Union and Britain aren't, there's data roaming charges and stuff like that. It's a bit annoying. And also, we had to. I think we were meant to pay there was like a £5,000 or £4,000 thing because of Brexit or something like that. I don't recall exactly what the detail was. And then of course got here and didn't work because Brexit. I think it's because of Brexit. It said EU portability, and I reckon that's to do with Brexit because EU stands for European Union, and Britain aren't in the European Union, and Sky's a British company, I think, or something along those lines. So they don't have Sky here. Well, no, they do, but I don't know what exactly. We've not got many channels on the TV either. The TV ain't great. There's like RTL, which is a foreign, that's German. There's only one kids channel, which is CBeebies. The rest are all either like radio programs, news programs, or like ITV or the BBC or something, or Channel 4 or something along those lines. It's not like when I stayed in an Airbnb at Silverstone where they had like a TV and you could basically just link your YouTube to it and it was really easy. I wish we had that here, but we don't. However, we do have a computer, which I'm on right now. If we did bring an HDMI cable, we might have been able to connect it to the TV, but hey ho. Plan for the rest of the day is we're essentially going to play cards. Obviously, there's no reward. That'd be a bit weird. We play a game called Sevens. So I'll quickly explain how that works. Hello. I look like a Karen. Behind the desk. Lorem ipsum. I definitely didn't pronounce that right. Or is it Irem ipsum? I can't tell if that's an L or a capital I. That's what I hate about L's and I's. Hello. I'm currently talking about my entire trip so far, which has lasted about 16 hours. 16 hours to get here. The first pronunciation was correct. Lorem. Okay. Lorem ipsum. Okay. So yeah. We basically play a game called Sevens. So how it goes is each of us have 7 cards. So there's 3 of us that are playing the game, my dad, my mom, and I. So that's 21. Which means that there are 32 cards in the pack because there's 52 cards in the pack because there's Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, 13, 26. Yeah, so there's 52 because there's 4 suites, 13 cards per suite, so there's 52. So that means that there'll be 31 cards in the pack. Now, if none of us have a 7, so that's a 7 of hearts, a 7 of clubs, a 7 of spades, a 7 of diamonds, then we keep picking from the pile until we get a 7, then we start the game. 5 most controversial. I'm not going to talk. The channel name is Liam Talks Motorsport, not Liam Talks War Crimes or Liam Talks Wars. Oh God, 5%. Sean, we're not talking about wars, okay? We're not talking about wars. And if you want to come up with number 1, then it would probably be the Falkland Islands because that's the most pointless war ever. Because what I find most mental about that war is that more men actually died from PTSD than actually in the war, which just shows how pointless it was. Another reason why I don't like Margaret Thatcher, but I talk about politics on my personal Twitter. That's a different thing altogether. But yeah, Serbia and Kosovo. Yeah, that was the war in the 90s and 2000s. What was it called again? I keep forgetting what it was called. I'll have a look. I think most of these countries are quite lovely, generally speaking. I think every country's got like its pros and cons. Saudi Arabia and I can't read that because there's like a FISA FOCA War. Brilliant. This man knows. 1982. This man knows. This man knows. Lorem ipsum knows. The FISA FOCA War of 1982. So FISA was the FOCA was the Formula One Constructors Association, and FISA was basically the FIA. And they had a war over like driver wages or something. No, I forgot exactly what it was, but it was something along those lines. And all the drivers went and they did a strike. Elio De Angelis was in a hotel room with all of them, playing the piano because he was very good at it. All that happened, and yeah. So as I was saying about sevens, keep getting off on tangents. If there's a 7 of hearts, and if one of them has a 6 or an 8, you put that down, and then it's a 5 or an 8, and then it's a 4 or an 8, and etc. etc. And then first one out wins basically. And if you can't pick, then you pick from, if you don't have a card that's available, you pick from the pile. So yeah, that's sort of just explaining that. We're probably gonna play that in about an hour or so. Yeah, honestly, the view is beautiful. I might move because I have to move my computer in order to move my camera because the camera is not that long on the camera. I wonder if I can move it far and get it. I think this is the first I can get it. So that's sort of we've got. I'll see if I can move it. I don't think you can hear me that well because I've got my camera. Yeah, let me just move my camera and my computer. So I'll put my computer there. And actually, I just realized where I put my computer is irrelevant because I can just use my camera. Yeah, so that's sort of the view that we have. You can see I think you can see the harbour front in the distance. The sea in the distance. That's the. Sorry, I don't know what the sea is actually called because there's the Atlantic, the Pacific, Indian Ocean, Red Sea. Yeah, so that's sort of just a summarization of today, I suppose. So this is never going to be a long stream because I just wanted to let you know what was going on. I'll probably do this every day because why not? Oops, sorry. Bit late for apologies, Sean. Bit late for apologies. Slightly late, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't really talk about wars or politics in here. Leave that to Oversimplified. He's good at that sort of stuff. So yeah. That's just sort of what I wanted to really say. If there's anything else you want to talk about that's motorsport related, not war related, Sean, then pop it in the chat. Happy to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to talk about. Of course, Max Verstappen won the Hungarian Grand Prix, blah, 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 blah. Kind of the normal thing that happens. And I think it's Spa this weekend. I honestly I forget. So, and then we've not got a race for a whole month, and then it's Zandvoort. So there's only going to be one F1 race while we're away. One MotoGP race, which is next weekend. We're away for 17 days. So that's the end of July to the sort of early August. So yeah. There's not really much else to mention. I mean, Verstappen's just been on a winning form. I mean, he's the best driver one of the best drivers in the grid. I mean, I have to say hats off to McLaren because I think in terms of car performance, right, the best way to describe it is this. Ferrari and Mercedes are closer to Red Bull, but they're sort of in the same place as they were at the start of the season. What's happened is Aston Martin and McLaren have done a complete switcheroo. Because Aston Martin have gone from being the second quickest team, arguably, with Alonso, to being the fifth quickest, where, they're finishing at the bottom of the top 10. And they need to bring upgrades because they're not keeping up with the competition at the moment. McLaren, on the other hand, they're bringing through upgrades, and that's massively helped their team out. They've been quicker than they have been since, 2012, I think. They've never been this quick. In the last decade or so, at least. The last time they had the second quickest car was probably 2012 because Ferrari didn't have the second quickest car in 2012. Alonso carried that car effectively. So yeah, it's been 11 years since McLaren have had the second quickest car. So good for them. Oscar Piastri was unlucky not to get a podium in Silverstone. He had a very good performance last weekend in Hungary. Finished fifth, I think it was. So he did very good. Perez is words can't even describe Perez at the minute. Yeah, Perez is just he's struggling. I really like the new format that they set up, and well done to Hamilton for stopping the pole streak of Verstappen and Red Bull. I mean, Leclerc and Hamilton have both been on pole this year. Neither of them have won, obviously, because otherwise we wouldn't have this long winning streak of Red Bull. But Spa could change that. And hopefully it will, because the sport has been quite boring past couple of years. Since 2014, or no, should I say 2013? There's only really been like one team that's dominated, apart from in 2017, 18, and 2021. Apart from that, every other year has been dominated by one team. 2014, 15, 16, Mercedes. At least we had a title fight in those years, because unlike with nowadays with Verstappen and Perez, Hamilton and Rosberg were very equal. And so we got a good title fight. And if Bernie didn't do double points at Abu Dhabi, the gap would have been much closer between the two of them. So yeah, 2015 was. I mean, Vettel was here thereabouts, but he wasn't there for the majority. He was there for a decent bit of the season, but he wasn't. If he was, I think if Seb in 2015 was in that Mercedes, he might have done a bit better, and would have been quite close to Hamilton and Rosberg. But in terms of how quick he was, because he was really doing well in that Ferrari. And then 2016 was Mercedes at their peak, essentially. That in 2014, because in 2014 only Daniel Ricciardo won races apart from Hamilton and Rosberg, and that was 3 times. That was in Canada, Hungary, and Belgium. And then of course 2016, Max Verstappen won in Spain, and Daniel Ricciardo won. I think it was Malaysia that Ricciardo won. And then you had 2 years where it was actually decent, where we had good racing. We had a battle for the championship, and we had 3 quick teams. That front three of Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes. Because before that, from about 2010 to 2016, it was either one or the other between Red Bull and Mercedes and Ferrari that was doing well. Because of course, 2010 to 2013 was Red Bull and Ferrari fighting for the title. 2010 and 2012 in particular. 2011 and 13 were more Red Bull dominance side of things. And then, of course, 2014 Red Bull were there. 2015 Ferrari. 2016 Red Bull. And then 2017, Ferrari and Mercedes were quick for the whole season. Red Bull were quick, sort of just behind them, a little bit slower, but they weren't that far behind. They were sort of in the middle between the midfield, which was like Renault and Force India, then Force India, now of course known as Aston Martin, and then of course Renault known as Alpine now. 2018 we had a title fight for the first few races, for the first first half of the season, and then Vettel made a few mistakes and Hamilton didn't, and that was how Hamilton won the title in the end. Ferrari had an equally good car, if not a better car than Mercedes did. And yeah, Hamilton won the title that year. And then you've got 2019, which was Mercedes dominated. 2020, which was Mercedes dominated, even more dominant than 2019. So then after that, we had 2021, and people say it was a controversial season. It was. However, at least we actually had a title fight. We didn't take it in until it already happened, really. People didn't appreciate the rivalry that we had, the championship battle that we had between 2 different teams, because we hadn't had that since 2018, effectively. So it was good to have that sort of fresh break. And then with the new regulations last year, without with the old regs, everyone was expecting it to be really close. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, they'll all be in there dueling, and that didn't happen at all. Ferrari won a few races. Mercedes won one race, and then Red Bull just won the rest. And McLaren, no, McLaren won 21 Monza, didn't they? And yeah, to be honest, nothing else really happened that year. Um, we had the occasional podium by another team, but not much really happened. And alas, this year where Red Bull have been as dominant as they have ever been, more dominant than they have ever been, even more dominant in 2011 and 2013. 2011 was amazing by Seb, but 2013 was even better. He won every race in the final part of the season. He won, I think it was 11 or 9 races in a row, something along those lines. 13 races in a row, I think it was, or something along those lines. It was a daft mental figure. So yeah, that's sort of just me talking nonsense at this point. I'll head now, guys. I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. So yeah, bye everyone.